Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to VALORANT News. Plenty of drama going on last night on the Wisemen Podcast. Loads of discussions being had, especially with a lot of teams talking about the Knights who are now running the Challengers ecosystem when they used to have a team, and the drama around the player Scuba that many teams, 100 Thieves and Cloud9, wanted to get from that team, but the organisation at the time denied. Before now, they're running the entire Challenger circuit, and the entire schedule for the first few weeks of the season has been released, and there are some spicy matchups in here, that's for sure. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into. Of course, the VCT starts very soon. The 1st of February is when these first matchups are happening. We saw the groups right for Challengers just the other day, and now the actual matches are going to start very shortly around the corner. Also, Steel was giving his thoughts on Disguised Toast Valorant team, saying it's giving him old school vibes, which is, look, they're in a pretty deadly group. They've got M80, they've got TSM, they've got the Guard, and they, maybe they're the 4th best team. Not going to be so easy for them to even get 4th, but if they get 4th, they get to the playoffs at least, which is, of course, what they're going to be looking for. But yeah, definitely a team with a lot of high potential, but as actually Disguised Toast himself says here in a second, he's not so optimistic given the fact that their first matchup they'll play is arguably against the best team in the entirety of Challengers, and the one that won the Ludwig Tarek Invitational relatively recently. But as, Steel says, you just did it because you wanted to be there, you wanted to work hard, and you just wanted to win. And I guess he gets that feeling from this current team that he had back in the day and maybe didn't have so recently on some of the other teams he was on T1, for example. Let's talk then about this Wisemen podcast. So lots of very spicy things said on this episode last night. I've got to share a few clips for you guys. Honestly, Sasha was discussing how Na'Vi are moving to Serbia because, playing from Ukraine is not really the ideal situation, as they're going to set up in Serbia, which I think is probably a valid idea. There's also some discussions on the way things are going on the tier 2 perspective. Steel suggesting that a lot of the unknown teams are actually the better ones to practice against because they're trying to prove they're good to you rather than saving some things or, running it down unnecessarily. There was also discussion from Vanity that, what exactly is going on right now in the Pro City tournament or the Pro City TenZ matches that Tarek is putting together, suggesting it's actually really rather good and well done and good for the scene. But, he feels like a lot of the tier 1 players are actually quite toxic towards the other guys, even though they might be a bit nervous to play against them. And even Sean Gare's giving his thoughts on the status of some of the teams right now, suggesting that he reckons that the Guard and Shopify Rebellion might be the top 2 teams in Challenges.
I try to learn. That's more important to me than having only pros in the queues. Obviously, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people in here that don't fit those criteria, right? Either they don't comm very much, they don't actually care. I feel like those are the people who I'm not a fan of them being in it. But you do need people to fill games at a certain point. So it's a hard line, but hopefully it gets better over time. But I mean, the games I've played so far have been pretty good. I haven't played a ton, but people seem to be playing them a lot, and I don't think people would play them this much if they were as bad as people portray them out to be.
Dude, yeah, people are trying them a lot. And
I also feel like people. I'm not a fan of. Maybe this is because I came up into it too, but I don't like how the tier 1 pros are such assholes to the other people. I'm pretty toxic, right? Overall, I know, but I'm not gonna just flame some random kid that's trying his best because he's nervous playing with people that he's looked up to. It's most people are like that, right?
Next week, we will have on Na'Vi, IGL, Angel, who they are traveling to Serbia right now because they are getting currently actually bombed still in Ukraine and Kyiv, and they're having very difficulty practicing over there. The power keeps going out, so the entire Na'Vi team will be going to Serbia in a couple of days, but Angel says he'll come on next week.
I've definitely noticed some teams that you would think would be good practice partners are trolling in the games and
Yeah,
just doing really stupid stuff, and it's just a waste of time, some teams. And then I always felt like even back in CS that some of the unknown teams, they are the best teams to practice because they are actually trying super hard, because they're actually trying to impress you. They're trying to learn and improve.
Yeah.
They value that time in the server with a good team, so they actually take it seriously.
Shopify kept a big part of their core too. And I remember Shopify. So Shopify during LCQ, I remember we'd scrim against them a lot. That team was really good. Shopify was way slept on by the scene. And I think during LCQ, they had 2 people get COVID. And their whole practice schedule and everything got... And they still almost beat Sentinels in LCQ. And that Sentinels team was really, really good. Like they took us to 3 maps. They were making runs. That was when Shroudy joined and they pracked hard. I wouldn't sleep on Shopify this year. I think the Guard and Shopify are like my 1 and 2.
So lots of interesting talking points there I wanted to share for you guys, but the other part of the equation on that Wisemen episode last night was this. So this is Garrett, right, who the other day from the Knights, I think formerly known as the Pittsburgh Knights, but now they're just the Knights. So that's why it's PK here, I think, on his jacket. But we saw the other day, right, he did the group draw for the challenges, matches that we saw. Now, he went on this podcast last night, and they discussed a fair bit about his organization, because Knights used to actually have a team in other esports. I think they even had a Call of Duty team back in the early Black Ops 4 days. But and then they had a Valorant team not that long ago while they were kind of running these tournaments. Then Riot said, hey, if you get rid of your kind of team, right, and just focus on actually running the tournaments for us, then we'll partner with you to run the tournaments and run our challenger side. So, you know, understandable maybe from that perspective. Now, last year they had an interesting team with some very talented players on. Scuba was among them, and Scuba was a player that many pro teams were interested in. 100 Thieves wanted Scuba when they did their rebuild. Vanity also went on stream as well and said that Cloud9 tried to get Scuba a few times, but he was effectively stuck in contract jail, and this is something that Knights have been accused of for many years. And I mean, look, it's not just Knights. There's plenty of organizations in esports that have done stuff like this, where they've got a valuable player, they don't effectively, like, look, they get good offers in, they get big offers in, but they just say, no, we're not accepting any money. They keep this player stuck there because maybe they feel like they're going to get more money down the line for him when he keeps getting better and better, screwing over the potential, you know, future of that player. And sometimes it doesn't really even work out for the betterment of the team, right? It was Sean Gayce who only a few days ago now said the 100 Thieves had Scuba at the top of their list when they were building a roster, but Knights wouldn't budge. And the rumor is that really, like, Knights never even set a buyout figure. They just said, yeah, like, we're just straight up not going to sell him, right? Even though the contract terms, I think initially would have implied that they should have had to do that, but then they changed the contract terms. Did Scuba re-sign those new contract terms? I don't know. Like, definitely a lot of weird accusations coming out here. Hopefully nowadays it's kind of all okay and dealt with, but I still think it's a very questionable situation, because top teams wanted Scuba and now he's kind of in a more difficult position where he's not been signed in that way. So Vanity says he doesn't know what these orgs are doing to players. You sign or we find someone else. He's kind of discussing how a lot of organizations operate in tier 2, saying Chaos was good from the CSGO days. Let me on, I want to talk to this guy. I want to flame him so hard. This is Vanity, of course, from Cloud9, flaming the Garrett guy from Knights Arena. Just kidding. I love hearing this after talking to Scuba. When you just don't reply to your players, you don't get to sign the contract if you try and change the clauses, so you don't get panic, and then you have to go to school or get a job. You stupid idiots in chat. Goddamn, read my messages. I'm telling you what happens if you try and change anything in a contract. I'm completely aware I have leverage, but I know what the other kids go through because I talk to them. So yeah, Vanity pretty much just calling out the owner here, or the guy making the calls over at the Pittsburgh Knights, or as they were at the time, and even Infamous, right, from the FaZe side, I thought it was a pretty interesting tweet. 100 Thieves asked to buy Scuba, and they're not doing anything, PFE your Knights. But if Riot says you can drop your entire team to host challenges, like, yeah, let's get straight on that. So yeah, definitely some frustration there between some of the players and the decision making the Knights have made on this, because now Scuba's on the Oxygen esports team that successfully qualified here for challenges, but he could have been on the Cloud9, he could have been on 100 Thieves had Knights operated on this one differently, and Vanity frustrated, and Steel was frustrated as well. So yeah, he was going to get it called out on this, Garrett, and you can understand why, really, because this whole contract jail discussion is quite a common term in esports, but hopefully it's all kind of okay and cleared up now, but still pretty frustrating to see. Now, speaking of one of these other teams, I've got to mention this here from the Squirtle squad. So this was a leaked chat last night between the Squirtle squad guys, with Ada and the other guys here as well. Now, when it says here, you'll need to chill, we're already talking to them. Oh, true. But yeah, if they're trailing until Sunday, I guess higher chance of you staying, but that is a good call to pressure them and say if you don't sign today, they've literally been blueballing you in Diamond 1, he says. So, I don't exactly know what's going on here, but obviously Squirtle Squad aren't signed to an organization yet. They're trying to find an organization to sign. They link a tweet from Moist Esports here up top. So, I guess they replied here to Moist Esports and said, my team Squirtle Squad is in challenges looking for an organization. So, I guess even they're hoping that Moist Esports might pick them up, which is fair enough. But while that discussion is ongoing, and while they're kind of waiting for an organization to sign them, which may or may not happen in the near future, this reads to me that Ada is at least entertaining another offer. So Adam might have an offer from another team, either a change in challenges. I can't imagine it's a change in tier 1, but, you know, still, some of these challenges teams, we still don't know FaZe's full roster. We have an idea, babybay, Dicey, these guys, but we still don't know for sure. Supermen, for example, Neptune was meant to be there, now he's not anymore, so a bit of a questionable one at FaZe. Like, even what they're doing, we thought maybe Rossi is going to go there because he was formerly TSM, and then he was the Nation, and all this absolute drama stuff, to be honest. So Adam might have an offer from another team here, which actually might be an organization, which if that's true, then, you know, that's the thing. I mean, you qualify with your team, and now one of your teammates gets poached just because you don't have an org to give them any, you know, reason to stay, which is just frustrating. So still some drama, I'm sure, to come on that front. The other thing that was happening last night on the Wisemen was that they had the information clearly, and they leaked some of the key matchups in North America to such an extent that the Night Skies themselves decided, you know what, let's just reveal the actual full schedule. So they do it last night. This is for Split 1, February the 1st through to March the 17th. So these are all the games. There's only a couple of games a day, which I guess makes sense on most of the days per week. So there's 5 weeks of action here. It's usually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but not always, as we'll see in a second. And these are the key games. This is the entire schedule, I'm guessing, here for Split 1, where most of the teams will play each other. There's not really that many matches, all things considered, given it's over the course of about a couple of months. But I guess it is what it is. We've got Tier 1 as well to enjoy alongside. FaZe versus G2 start things off. That's a banger. Disguise Toast play the guard. Like, there's a lot of very good games in here, of course. I know that one that many people are looking at immediately is, okay, any of the Group B games are very spicy. M80 versus TSM is very good. FaZe Squirtle Squad is going to be interesting. But then we get to matchups like, I think the one I'm looking for is over here, which is March the 15th, I guess, is pretty much when it's going to be, which is the guard versus M80, right? So we'll see how that is at the time. Of course, there's a couple of months even down the line at this point, so we don't really know how good the teams are going to be by then. But if you guys have a favorite team you're looking to follow in challenges, this is the entire Split 1 schedule, where after all these matchups conclude, we'll have a decent idea what's happening in terms of the groups. There's then, I think, a mid-season tournament they play, and then they have Split 2, then there's playoffs, then there's Ascension after that to see who's actually going to qualify, if any of these teams qualify, because it could well be another team from the Americas region elsewhere. And even as Disguise says, yes, you're telling me in our very first official VCT game, we've got to play the #1 rated team in challenges in the guards, but they might not even be the best team in challenges based on what some people are suggesting over the last couple of days. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Even as Leaf says, running the date on my calendar, March the 15th, Popcorn is being pre-ordered, and yeah, Leaf from Cloud9 certainly believes that the Battle of the Colossi is the guard versus M80 right here. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.